What's up, and welcome back to somewhere right near Ringworm. Not quite there. I had to duck out yet again for a couple days. We had what I thought was going to be 30 plus mile an hour winds. It turns out we had gusts over 70 here, and apparently my trail going back in here is completely thrashed. So just got back, parked, gonna get the four-wheeler warmed up, and again, just like the beginning of last video, I'm gonna leave the trailer behind, leave my stuff out here, and see how far I can get in. I think I'm gonna have to four-wheeler in just a short bit and then walk the rest of the way, get all the way into camp, grab my chainsaw, maybe my axe and stuff, and then walk back out, and I'll just slowly cut my way in there. Oh, you hear the crows talking over there? Some weird creatures. All right, let's see if we can get in there. Not bad at all if this is all we got. Let's see if I can get that with 2 fingers or if I'm gonna have to use more. Nope, just 2 fingers is enough. Might need the saw for that guy. Oh, it's like, holy moly, some big ones came down. Those are the ones we cut last week. Tito and I cut that big aspen there, another big aspen there. Oh yeah, a lot of these are new though. That's a new one. That's a new one. That's a new one. That, holy moly. Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't here. Man, it's interesting. You can see these trees, just how small the root balls are on them. I mean, yeah, not even much is broken off of here. That's not broken. That's it. That's the whole root ball right there for a 50 foot tall tree. It's amazing. That's why it's so sketchy to camp out here when you haven't cut all the other trees. Oh yeah, this one's split open. Oh, that wasn't the one we cut down. Check that out. So in the last video, I started it by basically doing this exact same thing, trying to get back out here after I left for a couple days. And we started it, Tito showed up, and we spent that afternoon cutting trees right around here. You can see my tent deck is right there, and that's what I worried about, was having a day like this where we got really intense winds and having one of these trees fall on my deck. And what, 5 days later, it happened. The last big one we cut in the video last week was this guy, and we cut it because Tito's tent platform is right back in there. I don't know if you could see that thing hanging back there. I was afraid this one with the lean could possibly reach him over there, so we cut that. And check this down. Check this out. 5 feet away, another giant one that wasn't even aimed that way, leaning that way, came down right on top of it. And let's go see how close it is to his tent deck. Holy moly, they're down everywhere. Yeah, this is how close it got. And this is one we weren't worried about. Branches, deck. That's like a over 100 foot tall tree too. It's gonna be fun just to walk around the property and see what looks different. It's kind of like some big strong person came in and remodeled my house. See if we see anything else. Oh yeah. I didn't have my good mountain tent here, so when I left, I took down the other tent, took everything with me. And I considered, if I had the mountain tent here, I considered just riding it out, just taking a day, chilling out, reading books, sitting in the tent. But with 60-70 mile an hour winds, I am glad I didn't do that. It's not even so much the wind. I mean, the wind does grate on you when you're in a tent and it's that windy for that long. Just the noise alone will make you crazy, but more than that, it's the trees. The trees those are the real killers out here. There's so many busted up trees that didn't even quite come down. On a lighter note, nothing hit my deck, and the mini cabin man cave is still standing. Somebody must have done quite a great job building that thing, wouldn't you say? Let's grab a chainsaw, clear some of the stuff out of the way, and let's think it's like 2 in the afternoon now, so I only got like 2.5 hours of light. Man, more down before it gets dark, so probably won't get time to get started on the God. Wow, stuff is just blown all over the place. There's a spatula that was hanging over there. Oh, we're missing a lid. Yep, there's the lid. All right, well, let's do some chopping. I'll show you if I find any other weird stuff going on here. Probably have to make a quick run around the trails and see what else is busted up. It's kind of fun too, you know? You wouldn't choose to have any of the trees come down just because it's a lot of work to clean it all up, but you know, using a chainsaw and cutting out trails is a good time as well. Let's go for the big one, shall we? Make shorter work of this. Mini man cave, my tent deck, and the trail going out of here. Go chop that sucker up. Man, that's some dry firewood right there. That's just what we need, more firewood, right? Somebody was hungry. If you got too much firewood, you just put it in a stack and you let the woodpeckers eat it. Wow, there must be something tasty in those, huh? This is the area right here that Tito and Sarah and I spent a massive amount of time cleaning up. All this stuff out here that is now covered in trees. I bet total I've got a month, like a full month, all day, 7 days a week, cleaning all this stuff up, cutting it, stacking it, dragging it, burning it, chipping it, everything. And now we're back to square one, but that's okay. We just throw it in piles. I don't know if any of you guys saw or remember the early videos. Like the first few months Tito and I were out here, clearly this was all just, I mean, there's woods, there's nothing here at all. So we started cutting out a little bit of area where we're gonna set up our tents and build the lean-to. Like we just put the lean-to up so we'd have some place to get our stuff out of the snow. So that was 2 winters ago, now 3. And that's all we were concerned with, was getting our stuff out of the snow and getting that thing covered up. So we took every tree we cut down, took the brush off just like this, and we pushed it out to the side. And then we realized after a few months of doing that, this area camp was just a solid wall of brush, like up as high as we could throw stuff. You couldn't get out of it. So I remember we spent weeks and weeks and weeks eventually, once we got all our stuff cozied up in the lean-to and the tents and stuff, we spent a lot of time getting rid of all that stuff. So I kind of hate to do it again, like now, just throw it into a pile I'll have to deal with later. But this is by Tito's tent platform, so it's not my problem, right? All right, that's all I'm gonna do. That's the straight line from here down to the car. So I'm gonna grab my stuff, grab the trailer, and I just got my new tent. I haven't even seen it yet. I'm gonna set it up right now. Had to make a quick couple stops and just check things out. Remember this spot where T and I were standing about 5 days ago? He's gonna put his cabin right here. Now he's got more to clean up. The woods, am I right? I don't know why I couldn't just stick to the trail that I already cleared, but I had to have a look. I had to go down a different trail. I see the tripod right there. I just set up and took that shot. Look at that sucker. It's 3 of them, all leaning on just a couple branches up there. So I'm gonna grab that tripod and boogie right through. I bet you this will be down probably in the next couple days, next time we get a little bit of wind. Just for safety's sake, I'll keep my helmet on while I walk underneath here. Whenever you walk underneath something like that, don't you just feel like you're getting away with something? Actually, the reason I came through this trail is I kind of wanted to look at this tree. It's another fairly massive pine with a dead top on it. Probably can't see way up there, but it's only got about 20 feet of limbs. And it's got that split halfway down, and the other side of it already broke off. It's on the ground over there. This trunk is, gosh, I don't know, it's big. Wow, I don't know if you hear the popping, but that's those 3 or 4 trees in a pile over there trying to come down. But yeah, I was kind of hoping the top fell off of this thing and I could have milled it up, but next windstorm. Home. It's weird that it's in the 20s and there's no snow. Very bizarre. All right, let's check out this new tent. Tell you how I buy a new tent is if I know what I want, generally go on REI, put it in the search, pick the first one that comes up that's affordable, and that's what I did. It looked ugly as sin, but it's 4-man, which is nice if you're gonna live in it in the winter, and it's 4 seasons, so you know, should be able to take pretty harsh winds and a fair amount of snow. We'll see. I guess I'll only be living in it as long as it takes me to finish the man cave. Yeah, this thing's heavy as crap. It's a REI Base Camp 4. Oh my gosh, those colors are atrocious. That's really what gives any tent its strength, is the number and thickness of the poles. So that's a pretty solid wad of poles. I don't think I'm gonna finish that mini cabin now. This thing's enormous. My 2-man mountain tent, I've been using the same tent or the same kind of tent for all of the time I've been camping, all my adult life. It's a VE25. I don't know if they still make the same one. I think it's 2 or 2.5 men. It's squat, and it could easily take 70-mile-an-hour winds. But to stay in it virtually full time with all your stuff, it doesn't vent well. It's not made to vent. It's meant to keep the mountain out of your tent. But without good ventilation in such a small tent, it really gets gnarly in there. Like my sleeping bag gets wet and everything, it's hard to keep it dried out. So I was thinking something a little bigger, give me a little room to move, keep some more stuff inside when it's like really snowing. I don't have to jam everything inside the lean-to every night. But holy cow, this thing is enormous. I don't need a tent this big. Put the fly on it, see what happens. I don't know how many of you camp regularly, but I noticed that some people don't know this about tents, especially winter tents, but I think really all tents. You set it up and you'll see most of the places where the fly crosses the poles like that. There's 2 poles right there. Goes across here. And some places you can see the seams in the fly. Right underneath here will be a piece of Velcro. It's usually a Velcro, sometimes a hook. I think there'll be one right there. So that Velcro goes around here. And there'll be one there. Oh, I already put that one on. So in this case, it's just to make the fly and the tent one part instead of just having it clipped around the edges. But in a lot of cases like this one, this will clip around both the poles there, and then this will be a guy point. So when you guy this out, if it's really windy, you put a line out, stake it out somewhere, and then when the wind's trying to blow your tent, it's not just trying to blow the fly and the tent underneath it isn't part of it. Like the fly will actually be attached to the poles of your tent. Maybe everybody knows that. Oh, I know some people don't know it because I've seen people's tents blow over in a weird way without those being hooked up, but it's a good thing to know. That's a little more like it. That looks like a proper winter tent. Pretty big vestibule. Yeah, I think this will do just fine. Bigger than necessary, but I guess better than that than too small. Alright, it's just getting exciting. Hopefully anybody watching this one has seen the last video or 2 or 3 getting to this point, so I don't have to remind you. We are not going to try to learn anything from these videos. In fact, you can watch me how I do this and then look up the right way to do it. I don't really care about the right way. I'm just doing this for fun. This is going to be a cabin, sort of. Probably mostly still going to stay in a tent, definitely during spring, summer, fall. I just want to be able to use it a little bit this winter when it's really, really cold. But I'm not going to insulate anything. I really want this to be, for most of the year, just to be a tool room, like a work room, out of the rain, out of the snow, everything. It will have a little heater in here somewhere. But since I'm not insulating it, it's a lot easier to make the studs any distance apart. There's not going to be any inner wall. This is going to have to be the front door, I guess. But my hope was just to save lumber. You guys saw in the last video I didn't put a bottom plate on either of these walls, just left the bottoms dangling, just because that saves me 2 2x4s there. Probably do the same thing on the front and back walls, no bottom plate. I'll just screw it or nail it right down to the floor. Takes a little bit more time to set up, but man, lumber is just at a premium. I think I started clearing this area a couple months ago, and it's basically all I've been doing in between crappy weather. So it is a lot of work, not just to clear, but to make all the lumber here I made with the chainsaw. So, you know, finding the right trees, milling them wherever they lay. All this was made from really big trees that I can't move by myself. Even my four-wheeler won't pull around, so I wasn't able to do it on sawhorses. Had to do it all laying on the ground. Anyway, I like the work. This is great. I love doing this, but just in case you wonder why, well, if you're doing that, why don't you just take the time and put one more 2x4 there or one more there? It's just because of the amount of work it'll take. I'd like to get this thing done and be able to use it this winter. It was like in the the low 20s last night. That tent was awesome, by the way. I thought it was too big and I don't know, whatever else, but it worked out freaking great. Tent actually has vents down low, like triangular vents. So when I went to sleep, I opened those vents, opened the vents in the top, and I woke up and there was no moisture in there. In case you're wondering how you would live in a tent all the time in the winter in Michigan and stay warm all day, this is how you do it. If you got to stop to eat, do some squats, run in place while you're chewing. There's no time for a fire. It takes so much time to make a fire, and even standing around a fire is not really that warm when it's this cold. By the way, I was just thinking, the reason all the videos are numbered, they got a number after them, is in case anybody wanted to go back and watch what this whole thing was like coming out here. I think the very video number 1, Tito and I were standing right here. The only thing there was here was woods, like that, and this tool rack we hung up. And I think video number 2, we started putting this thing together. Oh, jeez.
Yeah, I know.
Can I touch your muscle?
Really used my glutes for that one.
Well, you can go back and watch them in order. You just click Surviving Ringworm, takes you to the channel page, click videos, and then scroll all the way to the bottom and start at number 1, and you can see everything that's been built out here, all the trees taken down, everything I've done for almost 2 years out here. You can see in order from the beginning. Just so you know. How do they stack? Oh.
Girl. Holes.
Look at that thing go. I've got all my tools out ready to go, and I don't want to get them all wet, so I figure I burned some of this brush from the trees I split up yesterday to get off the trail. I didn't think it was going to snow today, but it's been going for several hours. Oh well. Screw it. I'm going to listen to a history podcast and go for it. I'll just have to make a cut, put my saw back in the tub, nail it together, pull the saw back out, whatever, just for a little bit. I'm going to frame the wall here, and the only thing I'm going to do is start with the center stud. So they'll go right from dead center here up to the top of that plate. That way, after I put the plate on, I can go straight back up to the peak of the roof too, and have that support all the way through, because that one stud there is basically going to hold the entire, well, it's going to hold the ridge pole. Is that what it's called? It's going to hold that ridge beam up. So I don't want the studs to come up like this and then have to put one in the middle and go up, since I'm only going to do a single plate on the top of that, not double or whatever. I don't know if that makes any sense to you, but it makes a lot of sense to me, so that's how I'm going to do it. Since these are all homemade 2x4s, got to trim the edge of each one. Sometimes I forget to do that, and you go to put it together and the end is at a funny angle. So that'll be the top. I have a feeling this is going to be a regular thing. Well, these were cut to make it all the way up to the top, so I'm going to end up cutting them short, putting the plate on, but I'll keep all the tails of these, the leftovers, and those are what'll go up to the top, so I don't have to chop up other perfectly good 2x4s. It's a good thing this is really fun, because to be honest, I do have these brief flashes in my brain that say, is this really a good idea? Sometimes I think a sane person would be sitting on the couch with a hot cup of coffee, watching a movie or something. That's probably what you guys are doing. That's probably the smart thing to be doing. I'm not sure standing out in the snow all day getting soaked is the way to go. Whatever, I'm already here. I'm not going anywhere, so. It's hard to see with the snowflakes in your eyes. Sure goes up fast once you have the lumber made. So let's see, let's think through this real quick without much thinking. Probably do something similar to the back wall. Guess maybe we'll set the door. Maybe we'll do corner one stud, put the door there, and then I should still be able to get one stud right in the middle that'll go up and support the roof all the way up there. These are thinking fingers. I don't have a door or anything, like I didn't buy a door to put in here, so I guess I'll just I guess I'll just make one. What are the other options? Pound 3 nails, shovel. Pound 3 nails, shovel. Getting into a pattern here. It's like a car window scraper. That works pretty well. Gotta mark it before it gets covered up again. What are we doing? 20? Guess we'll just frame the top of the door just like the windows there. Save lumber, make it simple. I guess that's the nice thing about making your own door, even though I don't know how I'm going to do it. But if you do make your own door, then you can get a little more creative in how you frame it, I guess. I mean, it's just theory, but it's probably true. It's got to be true. Yeah. Gotta give yourself a round of applause every now and then. Just found a great podcast. It's a history podcast. I've listened to about 10 episodes already today. History that doesn't suck. I just learned that the poem "O Captain, My Captain" was written by Walt Whitman for Lincoln after he was killed. I didn't know that, see? After 6 hours of listening to these, that's the one thing I might take away from this. That's how good my memory is. Nah, I'll probably forget it by tomorrow. It's official. 4 walls. They don't do much to keep the weather out yet, but they will. I can't wait to have the roof on this. Let's see. I don't have roof boards yet. Oh yeah, I was thinking I'd use, well, those trees that came down, those two, at least that one big ol' quaking aspen, that'll get milled up into roof boards. So that'd be quick, and then I've already got 20 cedar logs to do the side. Yeah, we're getting somewhere. We are. All right, now what do we do? Guess we need the top beam up there. I saved just at the last minute before I sunk the chainsaw into it. I did save one board. I'm trying to think if I need any big boards for anything else. I don't think so. So I guess I'll get the chainsaw out and rip that down. Maybe I'll rip the edge off and just cut that big board in half. It's pretty big. That'll be like a 2x8-ish. That should hold. Heaviest one for last. Oh. It is actually the biggest board. It's the center cut of that log. It's 11 feet long or so. So you can see I don't really want that as part of the anything structural. So I'll probably trim the edge and just go up next to it or something. And fully charged battery still doesn't have much juice out here when it's this cold. And even with lithium battery thing and generator, whatever, you can't even charge the batteries. When it gets so low that you'll actually ruin the batteries at worst, and at best it just stays charging forever and doesn't go anywhere. It'd be interesting to see how much this stuff warps. I don't know if you can tell. You can just tell looking at the color of it. It's just such a rich color. Well, that is the sapwood, but it is so freaking wet, this wood, which is totally fine for a man cave tool room. I don't care if stuff warps and cracks. I don't think it's gonna fall down or anything, but once I get that little propane heater in there, it's actually dry heat. I bet we hear some snapping and crackling and popping and whatnot. It'll be interesting to see. You know, maybe I should just take this all apart and let it sit here under a tarp for a year. Season all the wood. What do you think? No? All right, I'll just keep going. I'm not sure what size this board should be, but we got essentially a 2x8, so that's 7.5 inches. That's as close as I could get on both ends to that center of the log. You know, it's funny that there are building tables for all this different stuff online, easily findable. And I'm not trying to make this harder on myself than it has to be, but something about it, like, I feel like this is the one opportunity in your life that you can ignore that stuff if you want to. This is never going to be anybody else's structure. If anything goes wrong with it, that's okay, I'll fix it or knock it over and build another one. But it's kind of a rarity that you can build something on your own and purposely not look up the information. I mean, those tables got filled in by trial and error. Somebody figured it out. I guess there's probably some significant amount of mathematics going on eventually, but I don't know. I assume most people don't really get it, don't really get why I do it this way, but there's some kind of satisfaction with just like, I was going to say unplugging. I don't unplug. I listen to my books and podcasts, but unplugging from all that stuff that's sort of set in stone these days. And you can just go, nobody's looking. I mean, you guys are looking, but by the time you see this stuff, it's already done. So it's not getting changed. Something like that. Well, my clothes are damp enough that if I take them off and hang them up for a couple minutes, they get really stiff. So I'll take some snacks out to the deer castle, sit out there for a while, as long as it takes with that little buddy heater, dry all my clothes out, my boot liners and stuff, and have some snacks. Get back to this tomorrow, hopefully. Y'all want to come with? All right. Ooh, it's already toasty. It's just the back of my jacket, not even a particularly wet spot. Radiant heat's great for drying out clothes. I mean, it takes a while, such a little heater to do all your clothes, but when it gets dark at 5 o'clock, you got plenty of time. Since this is all unfinished wood in here, I assume that the moisture that comes off of my clothes and stuff and from that heater probably doesn't hurt this place at all. I mean, it's not going to make any difference in the moisture content of the wood, but it's not like it starts running down the walls or anything, the moisture, and it's only once a day for, you know, half an hour, hour or something. But in the mini cabin, it'll be dry heat, so all the stuff will dry that much faster. Plus, I think you want to make some kind of like wire rack above the propane heater that I can just drape all that stuff and forget about it. This is such a small area that just have to kind of keep stirring it like cookie dough. Ugh, gross. In order to properly appreciate this, you'd have to have smell-o-vision. It is a wonderful situation in here. We're just about out of cheese and crackers and peanut butter and apples, and all the windows have a nice sheen of what do you call that, boot water? Yeah, they're pretty well fogged over, which means my clothes must be about dry. So I'm gonna finish up my last few bites and head to the tent. I think it's supposed to be about 15 tonight. I did notice that those vents on the tent really did help. Everything was pretty dry. The foot of my sleeping bag just still has a little bit of condensation on it or something, but I throw a hand warmer in there when I get up in the morning. If the next night's going to be quite cold, if it was going to be 30 tonight, it doesn't matter if it's a little bit damp, but when it gets down to the teens and stuff, it's nice to have a really dry sleeping bag. I also just checked the forecast and it looks like we're going to get snowed out tomorrow, so I don't know what I'll be doing. Probably reading in the tent for most of the day. If we get a couple breaks, I'll get back out there and see if I can figure out how to put a roof on that cabin. But in the event that it's several more days before I can get back to it, I guess I'll leave you here. Come back next week if you want. I think I looked through my stack of 2x4s that I had there. It appears that I'm going to be quite short on lumber to do the framing of the roof. I'm not sure how I'll deal with that. I think next opportunity I'll get that ridge up there. I've got enough for, I don't know, 6 or 8 rafters. I think I need like 16, but I'll use up what I got there, and then I might have to make the rest of them out of aspen. I was really hoping to get them all done out of that pine. I mean, that pine tree, if you guys saw the last 3 or 4 videos from the beginning when I started clearing and cutting up that big pine tree that all of this is pretty much made out of, all the floor framing, all the wall framing, and whatever I get on the roof, everything minus the floorboards. The floorboards were a big downed aspen tree, but everything else from that one tree, and it just looked like so much lumber looking at that thing that was, what, 20 inches in diameter almost at the bottom. And it just didn't taper down at all going up there. So I got like 40 some feet of just a massive log. When you look at it like that, you just think, of course that's enough to build a little tiny 10 by 10 cabin. It just looks like so much wood, and it looks like it's not going to be enough. Of course, like a third of that got turned into sawdust, which is what happens when you mill with a chainsaw. But looks like I might have to use one of those down aspen trees to do the rest of the rafters. We'll see. We'll see what happens. All right. Go ahead, you finish your cheese too. I'll finish my cheese, and then we'll meet up next week. Thanks for watching.